Hello folks, today I'd like to share something with you which I think is very interesting. At the moment you are looking at the picture of the temple of Angkor Wat in Cambodia. Now this old civilization has remarkable similarities like the old civilizations in Egypt and Mexico. Now as a short example, all three of these civilizations used pyramids in their secret architecture, and all three used kings as gods. Now as you watch my video you will come to notice further on in this video how important this is for the time we live in at the moment. Now if you study the walls of this temple you come to know that they knew the exact constellations of the zodiac, all 12 of them, and that are the pictures you're looking at the moment. Now as we all know there are 12 constellations in the zodiac. They are a collection of stars. The zodiac can be seen as a giant belt which surrounds us, because the earth moves around the sun each month. As the sun rises you can see a different constellation like Crab or Capricorn or Archer every month. Now it is impossible that they knew this, because they lived thousands of years ago and they did not have the technology to know all these things. But they knew it, and they knew it even better than we do it now. There is no doubt that their knowledge of the cosmos was enormous and remarkable exactly. And again, it's just impossible that they knew this. And what I even find more remarkable is that there is no one in this world these days that mentioned this, because it's just impossible that civilizations that lived thousands of years ago had so much knowledge of the stars in the cosmos. For example, on Angkor Wat, Cambodia, they believed in the snake, also known on Earth as the serpent. In Cambodia, the serpent was seen as a rope and is pulled in two different directions, as you can see on the picture now. By two different teams. Now one team stands for the forces of darkness and evil, and the other team stands for the forces of good and light. Now both teams together stands for balance and harmony. Me myself have always believed, like in politics, that only left-sided thinking alone is not good for democracy, because it brings greed and capitalism, fraud and lying and cheating and selfishness. While only right-sided thinking is also not good. It brings evil, pain, unhuman behavior like hate and aggression. So you need both of them together to have a balance that can bring honest justice and a fair living. It's a balance, and if one of the two pulls harder, the balance is gone and it starts to go wrong. So this is a piece of knowledge that they already knew thousands of years ago. If you have more of the left side, then selfish thinking comes up, where many fills their pockets with greed, while others are left in the gold. If you have more of the right side, then hate comes up and evil starts to give pain. So the pulling on both sides of the snake on Angkor stands for a learning process which must lead to immortality in these days. And who knows that we must go to both of the processes to learn to bring balance in our lives. The pulling on the serpent was a cycle of time to a common objective, the learning process that had to lead to immortality after experiencing both sides. Well, I think that many old civilizations were linked. Many of them all used pyramids in their architecture, and the knowledge of astronomy was incredible. Well, if you look at the Mayans, the old Mayans, also here we see pyramids in this old civilization. The biggest one has 4 sides. Each side has 91 steps. If you multiply that by 4 sides, you come on 364. Then add one more extra for the summit platform, and you come on 365, what is exactly 1 solar year. The four sides stands for the four seasons on Earth, like summer, winter, and so on. The pyramids were dedicated to the snake god, Kukulkan, who the Mayas saw as a flying serpent. Again, here the serpents come up. So again, we see the serpents back in this old civilization, just like in Angkor, Cambodia, and also here all is based on astronomy, and the Mayas did that in pinpoint precision. The old Mayan caracal was an observatory at the heavens. Its windows openings are exactly aligned with certain stars, and rising and setting of these stars. Also the sun shines through these openings at certain times with extreme precision, and by using this caracal they could make the Mayan calendars, and even more exactly than we do today. By using interconnecting cycles of time, they made the Mayan tablets. It was so precise that they predicted the solar eclipse in Mexico City in 1991. That's 1,000 years after the Mayan civilization suddenly disappeared. They believed that the end of the world was foretold in the stars of the heavens in their calendars. The Mayans predict that their presume of creation could end in the fifth sun, and it shall end in a cataclysm on 4 pre-Kanking. In our calendar, that's the 23rd of December 2012, and the Mayans were thinking that they can stop certain cataclysm by human sacrifice. So thousands were sacrificed at the temple of the warriors. When sacrificed, it was believed that the soul passed directly to the heavens to become a star, passing the cataclysm to come. It was called the opening of the mouth. Strange enough, in Egypt there was also human sacrifices, and more strangely, it was also called the opening of the mouth. And also the Egyptians believed that the soul became an immortal star in the sky. Now, if we have a look at the NASCAR lines, also here there is no doubt that some things were made by astronomical knowledge, like the Great Spider. It's an exact model of the constellation of Orion, just like in Egypt. Isn't it strange that so many civilizations all did the same thing, while they did not know of each other's existence? And also here there are pyramids, at least what's left of them, because the wind has almost eroded them. So again, there are pyramids in this old civilization, and these days found all around our planet. Now, if you look at Teotihuacan in Mexico, here also pyramids. And the myths say here also that the art of pyramid building was brought by a serpent god. The place was named by a belief that says the pyramid where man became gods, transforming the soul after that, and that's exactly the same case in Egypt and also at many other places of old civilizations. And again, the opening on top of the pyramid looks exactly at Pleiades in the Milky Way. Now, what also is a fact that everywhere you go around the world, in almost every civilization, you see the serpent come up. And they were always seen as gods and great bringers of knowledge and architecture. Often they were described as light-skinned and bearded. All these similarities with serpents, pyramids, astronomy, gods are just no coincidence. Also, if you know, there was no contact between these old civilizations, so how do we explain this shared symbolism? Now, all these old civilizations were suddenly lost, with no trace or clue. They just were gone suddenly, to come back never again. Now, if you look at Japan, at the coast of Yonaguni, they found an underwater structure. This underwater structure was discovered in 1997. It became underwater at the end of the Ice Age, when sea levels raised at tremendous heights. Although the sea has eroded the structure, you can see very clear it was man-made. It's estimated to be 12,000 years old. Now, when you look at these old civilizations, one thing becomes very clear. It's all linked of astronomy. Something or someone had to overlook the earth and the heavens, because that's something we are only able to do the last few hundred years. Now, as an example, in the 18th century, Isaac Newton wanted to measure the size of the Earth. Also, he looked at the ancient Egyptians for the answer. Now, all old civilizations all around the world believed that there must come a certain time when it all will end. And so they brought human offers or sacrifices to try to stop this, like the Incas, who also studied astronomy and were incredibly precise on it. They knew that all the stars in the heavens do not stay in one place, and it made them scared. As an example, the Earth rotates on its own axis, but on a long period of time it rotates not perfectly round on it. It's called precession. It's the name for a small wobble in the Earth's rotation on its own axis. Now the Incas knew this, that's why for them the stars did not stay in its astronomical places. So also they brought their offers by human sacrifice. So what do these old civilizations tell us? They were a legacy of wisdom and a warning for the future. Now, I believe that the ending of the Ice Age has a lot to do with the fact that many civilizations suddenly were no more. And what was the reason for such an event? It could have been a comet. And although it is not proven, the end of the Ice Age came so fast that almost no other explanation comes forward. At the ancient place of Tiahuanaco there is a myth. After long study, the story tells us of a bearded god spreading civilizations to Tiahuanaco, South America. His name was Verakotaka. It was said that he came after a time of great darkness. He taught the people of astronomy, love and architecture. It was told that he came with a boat with no paddles. So it can be that people from a lost civilization after a great cataclysm settled in Egypt and brought them their knowledge. The temple in Edfu in Upper Egypt tells us a story of the gods which lived on an island, surrounded by only watery oceans. A flood destroyed the island. There were only a few survivors, and these survivors had the name the Seven Builder Gods, who chose to settle in Egypt. They built the temples all around the world, and it was their duty to recreate the former world of the gods. It passed perfectly in the history of the Earth with the cataclysm event in the past 13,000 years. And then, of course, I mean with that the ending of the Ice Age. If such an event would again occur, there will be many more survivors. Of course, we are living in a materialistic world we live in now, and we would pass our knowledge again, just like the old civilizations passed theirs. So this was my story. I hope it was interesting, and let's hope such an event will never happen. Of course, we'll never know.